It is 1:01. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. In NFL news, former Vol and Nashville native Jauan Jennings in a holdout with the San Francisco 49ers, telling the team he wants a new deal or to be traded, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Jennings is scheduled to make $7.5 million in the final year of his deal this year in 2025. The MLB draft underway, and the Baseballs were well represented in the first three rounds with four selections in the first round, as Liam Doyle goes to the Cardinals at pick 5, Calvin Klein goes to the Giants, Andrew Fisher to the Brewers, and Marcus Phillips to the Red Sox. Vols had four more players selected over the next two rounds for a total of 8 selections over the first 3 rounds. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here at 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number, as SEC Media Days is upon us. We have some NFL news to get to. A former University of Tennessee Volunteer is seeking a pay raise and or a trade, which continues this season for the San Francisco 49ers. Has been a changing of the guard, it feels like. We'll get to more to that later. We got SEC Media Days, like I said. We're going to be doing SEC Awards prediction, college football best bets, and we're also going to be ranking the SEC coaches. Got Jackson behind the glass. Jackson, how you doing today?
What's up, buddy? How was your weekend?
Good, good. Saw Superman on Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. at an IMAX. It's the latest showing I've seen of a movie in a while. We've been Saturday matineers as I get older.
Really?
Yep.
I have to do a night movie.
You have to do a night movie.
I think the later the movie, the better.
I could see that in certain cases. I used to be a night owl. I'm just not, and I got 2 puppies. It's hard to schedule all that out.
7 p.m. is the earliest I will go see a movie.
7 p.m. is the earliest you'll go see a movie.
I prefer a 10 o'clock screening.
To be young again. Young and dumb.
I saw Oppenheimer at 11:30.
I didn't get to see Oppenheimer in the theaters, and I'm really mad that I didn't. I actually watched it on my TV in the middle of the day.
I saw it on
blaring.
In IMAX at 11:30 p.m. Probably a mistake. Had to be up at 6 a.m. the next morning. Was definitely a mistake, but it was so worth it. It was just loud, and it was just Oppenheimer was a must see in IMAX. I think the Superman movie is the same way. I'm excited to go see it probably next week. I think I'm going to.
It is really, really good. It is worth seeing. I'm not a Superman guy. He's one of my least favorite superheroes.
Really?
But the stuff that was the basis of this movie is the stuff that I've either really liked or tolerated for Superman. It was, Superman the Animated Series. It was My Adventures with Superman, which just recently came out. Kind of a little bit of that newest Superman, Lois and Clark show that was on the CW, which is actually really good for a CW show. And like All-Star Superman and Superman 4 Seasons. A little nerd section here. But like all that stuff is stuff I like. Like the Man of Steel, it's an all right movie, but like it's too god. They try to portray him too much as a god. And he's not. He's human. That's the whole point of Superman.
I saw Man of Steel in the theaters with my dad back when it first came out. And like the whole time it just felt like he wasn't really saving the city as much as he was destroying the city.
Yeah.
Like what was left to save?
Yeah. And then like he kills someone. Then you got Batman versus Superman, which is basically saying, hey, Batman's going to go hunt down Superman because he destroyed and had all that collateral damage.
I've never seen Batman v Superman.
Okay, so
I've heard it was terrible.
No, it is terrible. So funny story. Me and a couple of my friends, we went to this may be one of the last few times I saw a really late movie. We went to the midnight showing of Batman versus Superman, and we went to and it was in Opry Mills. We went to the TGI Fridays, and we enjoyed some beverages. Went and watched Batman versus Superman. soon as it was over, credits just start rolling. And I say some words I cannot say on the radio and just scream it out because I just stand up and I'm like, get me out of here. Because it's just terrible. Terrible movie. The director's cut is okay, but like it's terrible. I'm sorry, those movies just don't do it for me as much.
What were the letters those words started
F
with?
and S. Yeah, there may have been F and BS, if I'm not mistaken. But the pacing of this new Superman movie needed about 15, 20 minutes. Too much hot girl screeching in weird points of the movie. And I will say that it does pretty much skip over the entire origin story. My wife said that she could have used a little origin story, even though she knows about it. Like, they treated you, this movie treated you like you know the origin story, which most people do.
Which is how Spider-Man was rebooted this most recent time with Tom Holland. And I feel like they did an excellent job with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that and, the Batman parents dying, although spoiler alert if you didn't know that.
Batman's parents are dead.
They're dead.
They left him lots of money.
Yeah. I feel like all that stuff you don't need to rehash at a certain point. She feels like it may have left a little emotional weight off of the beginning of the movie, like a little bit emotional buy-in, but I felt like you got it with the parent stuff later.
I always think it's funny, though, like when he's a kid and realizes he has powers and just, like, destroys something.
Yeah.
There's, like, in Man of Steel, that's one of my favorite scenes. Like, I think he's on the bus or whatever, and he does something, like, insane and realizes he has superpowers. I think those scenes are hilarious.
All right. SEC Media Days. Let's get to sports. I don't want to lose everybody on the first day, but SEC Media Days. Growing up as an Alabama fan, I guess I'm a weird college football fan. I've never really cared and bought into the hype surrounding signing day and recruitment and all that kind of stuff. Never really have been in SEC Media Days and stuff like that. But as I've gotten older and gotten into this side of sports fandom or the sports world, I've cared a little bit more, at least about each of these things, because it is an interesting team building component. But the SEC Media Days, you can get a lot of good information if these, and 3HL is going to get you a lot of good information. I'll tell you that later about all the cool interviews they got going on today. But with the SEC Media Days, Jackson, as a younger fan, I guess I should say, what do you always look for when you're going into these SEC Media Days as a fan? Are you looking for little bits of information? Is it kind of like the combine interviews where maybe you don't get enough at the press conferences from your sports team or the prospects, but you get little tidbits that you pick up on?
So for the majority of my life, SEC Media Days has been, the second time we've seen Tennessee's new head coach. You get the intro presser in January, and then you get a little bit in the spring. But SEC Media Days, I think of as, a real first impression for the new Tennessee head coaches because they had so many when I was a kid. So that's really, I feel like at this point in the Heupel era, I feel like we're not going to get a lot. The quarterbacks, we're not going to get a huge update on the quarterbacks or the quarterback situation yet. We're not going to get a huge update. We might get a Jermod McCoy update, see how that injury rehabilitation is going. That's something I'm watching out for this week, Jermod McCoy update. Whatever he says about the quarterbacks, we will play and we will talk about, but I don't think it's going to be anything of substance because they haven't started fall practice yet.
So it's probably, I think the Jermod McCoy thing is the most important
question.
I guess, media day storyline, right?
For Tennessee, yes.
Yeah, because, like you said, the quarterback situation, we're not going to know any. Everybody's already assuming Joey Aguilar, obviously.
Come back and check in August 15th.
Yeah, that's what he's going to say, right? Like, you'll know our quarterback when we know our quarterback or something like that.
Not July. You're not going to find out July 15th.
Yeah.
Check back August 15th. You might know. You might not know until they take the field against Syracuse.
Right.
But
does that annoy you a little bit, or are you just like, screw it, let's just ride?
They haven't taken the field yet, so it doesn't. If they had, if it was obvious in spring and he just was being coy, it would annoy me. But Joey got here in late May, so it doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, maybe not for University of Tennessee fans in this particular SEC Media Days, but I do think if you're a fan of University of Tennessee, what's going on with the people on your schedule, what's going on with your other programs, with your other rivals this week, may be more important than what's going on with your own team. You may get more information about University of Tennessee's success based on what you may hear from someone else about their team and about their situation.
I want to hear what Alabama's quarterback situation. They did have the spring with all of their quarterbacks there. I want to hear about Georgia's quarterback situation, what they're thinking. Although I think the most forthcoming head coach will be Alabama's Kalen DeBoer, because this is only his second SEC media days. So I think if anybody was to, and not to say he doesn't have the experience because he was head coach at Washington, which is a big-time football program, but I feel like he would be the most likely between Kirby and Kalen.
Because you have Georgia, you have Alabama, you have Oklahoma, Florida, and Vanderbilt. I think are the most 5 interesting SEC teams. That only leaves out Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Arkansas. But those are the teams, to me, that you're looking at and you're like, okay, DJ Lagway, what's Billy Napier doing with that? Like, what's the progress there? With Vanderbilt, it's like, is Diego Pavia still talking trash about University of Tennessee or trying to, do that rivalry? Where does Oklahoma, like, what's the next step for them? What's going on with John Mateer? Like, to me, those are the guys with the storyline. Obviously, Alabama and Georgia already mentioned by you, but those are the 5 teams that I feel like, for me, for University of Tennessee fans, those are the guys I'm tuned into, because those are your biggest obstacles to trying to get into your college football playoffs again for 2 years in a row.
It's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited to see Oklahoma play football this season. I'm not excited for Tennessee to play Oklahoma. I really think Oklahoma is going to be a much improved football team, and I think Brent Venables could be on the hot seat if they're not.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that last part. I actually agree with both of your parts. We'll be getting into our awards later, but there's in these rankings, there's a lot to like about John Mateer. There's a lot to like about Brent Venables in year 2. And this is year 2 for the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Year 4, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
In total, but year 2 for the SEC.
Wait.
I like to do this. I don't care what you did in your Big Ten. I only care about what you do in the SEC. Now, then maybe the AD views it differently, obviously, but I look at Brent Venables as a guy that could see his stock rise throughout this entire season, because I do think with Oklahoma's defense, I do think with John Mateer being a vastly better quarterback than any of these other ones that they have had, I do think that you're going to see a big jump from Oklahoma.
You know where else I'm interested to watch? What the hell's going on in Auburn?
Well, that's very interesting because,
I don't think they're that interesting this season in terms of SEC contention. What are they doing over there? Like, what's going on? I just kind of want to poke them with a stick and just be like, hey, what's going on?
We'll get to, I think, Thursdays when we'll see what the media has voted for, like the top 16 of the SEC. Mm-hmm. We'll dissect that and probably give our own on Thursday. But I would say that outside of maybe Mississippi State, I think Auburn probably is number 15.
Yeah,
maybe 14. Like,
who would they jump?
Maybe you could say Vanderbilt objectively, but I think Vanderbilt's a team that's going to be better than
they've got it. Yeah. They've got probably one of the better Vanderbilt rosters we've seen in the last 10 years.
Right. So it's
with
really
Diego
hard.
Pavia coming back, they have that really good tight end Eli Stowers. And, their offense is going to be much improved. I think their defense will be a question.
Maybe Pittman and Stoops will be down there, but I feel like Hugh Freeze is a lot closer to Jeff Lebby than he is Stoops, which is kind of crazy to say because Hugh Freeze has been in the NCAA coaching
and he's
as
been
a head coach for a while.
SEC coach.
But this Auburn stop just has not worked in his favor. Of course, he blames the boosters and NIL and the other teams cheating, apparently.
And his own players. He blames
he loves to blame everybody but himself.
Yeah.
Babs
needs to look in the mirror.
He does need to look in the mirror for more reasons than one. When we come back, we are going to rank the SEC coaches, as we were just talking about Hugh Freeze and Jeff Lebby and the such. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking. I lost 70 pounds and my friend lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months.
Wow, what are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed for only $49.99.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Jackson is behind the glass. Do we call you executive producer? Because I noticed that 3HL calls Joseph executive producer.
I would take a title bump.
Well, I mean, is that a title bump for you? I mean, would you like a different title? I mean, it's our show. You can have whatever title you want for the week. We have to check in with Blaine when he comes back. So if you want to give yourself, you think about it, you give yourself a title, and we'll call you that this week.
Nope, I've got it. Grand Poobah.
Grand Poobah. Jackson Williams is behind the glass. Blaine is out on vacation. He'll be back next week. We'll have Stoney Keeley in on Friday, helping me with the show. He was on last Friday, so it'll be great.
Till then, it's just the two of us.
It's just me and the Grand Poobah behind the glass. And it's also you, 615-737-1045. Let's go to Titan Willie, who wants to talk about Cam Ward. Titan Willie, you're on with Zach.
What's up, boys? How are we doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Hey, doing fine. Just wanted to ask you guys, man, I know those videos came out that Cam dropped on his YouTube. Had him putting in the work with some of the boys on the team, and I just had to say, I don't think I've seen anything like that from around the league of guys meeting outside of the mandatory sessions of practice to train and to just get that cohesiveness going. So I don't know if you guys have seen the videos. I wanted to get your opinions on it, your takes, what the chemistry looked like, and what your overall takeaway is, and what that kind of outlines for the season moving forward. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Can't wait for the season. See you soon.
Appreciate you, Titan Willie. I think that's a good question because this is something that I've heard I heard Buck and Robert talking about it on the way in, and it was going to be one of our topics was going to be this whole idea of could this be a distraction for Cam Ward, or could this be if Cam Ward starts out the gate a little rough, everybody's going to come back, or not everybody, but a vocal minority may come back and say, well, it's because of that documentary. It's because he did all these videos. And I will say this for a couple of different things. One, not to dismiss what Titan Willie just asked, but like he says he's never seen this. And maybe in a way that's been presented, you may not have seen a lot of this, but a lot of the best quarterbacks do spend time in the offseason with their pass catchers, practicing the playbook, getting on the same page and all that. We know there was a trip to Cabo last year with Will Levis and the pass catchers.
Did a lot of good.
Yeah, did a lot of good. I have heard that what happens in these Cabo trips, and maybe not with Will Levis's Cabo trip, but it's like 3 hours, you're kind of working, you're kind of, walking through it, and then you go and do your separate ways. Don't know if that's what it was back then, but I have heard from several players and from several other outlets. I think it may have been Dan Orlovsky on ESPN say something like, Cabo's kind of like a half work trip. What you are seeing from Cam, though, is a guy with this kind of unprecedented access. We've never really had this much access to a quarterback. What you are seeing from Cam is a guy that is putting in the work almost every day. It really feels, I'm sure there's time off and everything, but it feels like a guy that has that mentality, and he's doing it with the right guys around him. He's trying to do it as much as he can with Calvin Ridley. He's trying to do it as much as he can with Chig, Xavier Estrepo. Pretty much Elikai Manor, Chimere Dike, all the guys that he's pretty much could be throwing to, he's working with. Will it mean anything? I don't know. But I'm trying not to make too big of a thing about it, but it is kind of a big thing that we're seeing the same kind of work ethic you see from a Joe Burrow, a Patrick Mahomes. And again, those are high names to throw him in with, but those are guys that have this kind of work ethic. I think Jaden Daniels has proved to have that kind of work ethic. I look at these players, the worst thing that you can see from your draft pick is stuff like Isaiah Wilson. Obviously is the worst.
Wait, what happened with Isaiah? Why don't you refresh everyone's memory?
Yeah, jumping off balconies, doing donuts down from my house, apparently. I'm glad I don't drive at 3 a.m, that's for sure, because he probably would have hit me in that intersection.
Hey, good thing I wasn't coming back from Oppenheimer then.
Yeah.
I guess the time I got out.
Yeah, so I think what you want to see is that Ward is all business, right? He hasn't come into work out of shape, at any of the camps, at any of the rookie mini camps. He hasn't come in looking completely off. He hasn't looked perfect, but he hasn't looked completely on a different page, on a different planet than his receivers. He's looking to get his timing down with these receivers. So to me, this is exactly what you want to see. I remember us talking about people being concerned that he was going to overexert himself, overdo it, because they were asking the coaches, they were asking Nick Holtz, Bo Hardegree, Brian Callahan, they even asked Cam Ward himself. And this is a dog. This is what you want out of a quarterback. At the very minimum, this should give you a good base level of success in 2025.
I don't think Will Levis had a work ethic problem. I think he had a skill.
That's true.
I think it was like a lot of people, like a skill issue.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he just did not perform last season. It was not due to lack of effort or lack of hard work in the offseason. He did these Cabo trips. I don't put any stock into these offseason workouts because I saw Will Levis put in the extra effort last year, and it still wasn't enough.
But I will say outside of the Cabo trip, the extra effort we saw was with Mason Kinsey. And I don't mean to take a drive-by at Mason Kinsey.
I'm sure other guys were invited, though.
Yeah, maybe they were, but they didn't show up. And
Calvin Ridley went.
But he went to
Cabo.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Cabo. I'm talking about these other things, because this is obviously now 2 or 3 weeks that we have seen this happen. We have seen the 5 a.m. show-up calls with all the pass catchers, rookie pass catchers. This is going back now 2 months of evidence. And I'm not saying, again, Will Levis worked hard, but there's a difference between what Cam Ward is doing and what Will Levis did outside of the Cabo trip. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I get what you're saying. I don't put stock in it either because it doesn't. You can work as hard as you want. If you don't got it, you don't got it.
That's
I think
true.
Cam Ward has it.
Yeah.
But Will Levis could have worked himself to the bone, and I think he did last offseason, and he still wasn't good enough.
Yeah, that is true. And there's a lot more to it than just that. He even said that he didn't feel like himself last year. And
Needed to
there was a
rewire
lot.
his brain?
Yeah, there was there was the rewire the brain comment, but I think in the media scrum at one of the OTA practices, he says, I didn't feel like myself for like 10 weeks or 20 weeks last year. And maybe there is a change for it. But I do think there's different ways. There are different levels of hard work. You get what I'm saying? Like, he worked hard, but doing it with Mason Kinsey maybe not be the thing. I think he's even working harder this year than he did last year. And I do think he worked hard last year, Will Levis. Mm-hmm. Because I do think what he was trying to do and what he put in the effort to try to get accomplished may be a little bit of the reason why he got it in his head. And he now has sought out Jordan Palmer. I do think there's other things that he is working on, maybe even off the field. So I do think he's a hard worker, because I've always said it won't be for a lack of work ethic. It won't be for the lack of desire or want or love of the game.
It'll be exactly what we saw at Kentucky.
Exactly. Sometimes you are who you are. Let's go to Chuck in Clarksville and let's talk about Cam Ward. Chuck, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, Zach, that's kind of what I was talking about with, that Will's problem wasn't work ethic. It was on the field. He couldn't register. His brain couldn't register where the best play to go was. I don't think we're going to have that problem with Cam Ward. Cam seems to be that type of player, like a Mahomes, like a Burrow. It clicks in his mind, and he sees that opening, and he makes the play. So I don't think that's what's, the documentaries don't mean shit. None of that stuff means anything.
Sorry, the don't mean crap would have kept you on the line a little bit longer. I mean, I totally agree. Like, because first I want to go through a couple different things here, because I thought that Buck and Bert were making some good points, but there were some points that, like, Buck tried to liken this to when Taylor Lewan was making a podcast that wasn't really focused on football, right? Like, when Lewan and Bus with the Boys was announced, there was that small section of fans that were saying this was a distraction and all that kind of stuff, right?
I don't remember that, but I saw it during the season. I saw it especially after his suspension.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, maybe it was
terrible
louder.
timing.
It was
bad
terrible timing. I look at it like this. This is totally different than that, because this is more of your time is not being taken away. Cam Ward is not editing these videos. He's not carrying the camera. He's not spending an hour and a half or hours trying to find guests and all this kind of stuff. To me, this is very low-level distraction, if any. Because I understand that there was I believe a 33 or 34-year-old ex-football player that said, well, this kind of sounds like a distraction. A documentary isn't really that much of a distraction. You sit down and you answer a couple of questions and you go about your day. It may even take a full day. And that day could be on a Saturday or Sunday where you answer all the questions and they go through and edit it, right? Because we saw it with Quarterback. I just got done watching season 2 of Quarterback on Netflix. Patrick Mahomes wasn't distracted. Joe Burrow wasn't distracted. Kirk Cousins, none of these guys were distracted because of this documentary. Most of that stuff is done in post-production, your interviews and stuff. Everything else is that they're just kind of following you around. And again, I'm not saying that Cam Ward is on the level of those quarterbacks, but again, I'm talking about distractions. I don't see how this can be the same as the distraction of an entire podcast and building an empire and all that kind of stuff. I don't see how this is really the same. And I'm going to kind of call out fans who may call in after a bad game and say, well, if he wasn't making the documentary. We don't even know his involvement in the documentary.
He's not editing. He is just talking to these people.
He's just talking.
It's
right?
the same thing as him doing a press conference. It's just he does longer form press conferences with just one interviewer probably once a week. I really don't have a problem with this.
You know, that's what I'm saying. If even that.
Yeah, like that's the max he's doing. He's not in the editing room.
Because the documentary's over. It's in the editing. So whatever's going to happen in the regular season is not going to be affected by the documentary. I mean, they're releasing it in September. Is he time traveling? Are they time traveling into the regular season where this means anything and it could be a distraction?
They're going to pull him out of the third quarter of the game and ask him some questions.
Ask him some questions.
Against the
Just
Broncos.
randomly. We're going to see this portal show up, and they're going to walk through this wormhole. Like, Guys, it's over.
It's
They're
done.
editing.
Filming's done.
Filming's done.
It'll be
there
on
is no
Tubi.
distraction. Does he look like he's distracted in these actual videos? It's just someone following him around. Listen, we had Ron Killings, R-Truth, in studio. Did he look distracted answering our questions with about 5 cameramen?
Including some of us. Some of
us, but like, no.
No, he was fine. He was answering your questions. He was locked into the interview with you and Blaine, and he was fine.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with Cam Ward. I didn't have a problem with busting with the boys. I think, the announcement, the timing wasn't great with the suspension coming right after they launched the pod, but I mean, like, they set themselves up for a post-football career. How can you, especially with the podcast?
Well, I hate to tell everybody also, there's cameras during the game. They broadcast the TV. Like, if you're worried about documentary cameras interfering with practice, what about TV cameras? Because if you got, that just makes no sense to me. Documentary cameras are typically away from you. Nobody really spotted any extra cameras at Titans practice.
They probably didn't film at practice. It is about his
Or they're
rise.
using the practice footage that they got.
And
right?
It's also like the documentary, from what I understand, is about his rise from a 0-star high school recruit to the number 1 pick at the NFL draft. In my opinion, this documentary should end when he shakes Roger Goodell's hand at the April 2025 draft. And they asked him some questions after the draft and, stuff like that. So I just don't think it's that big of a deal. And the YouTube thing, like, plenty of players have YouTube channels that are successful. Michael Pittman, one of the best receivers in the AFC South right now, has a very successful YouTube channel.
Well, and I look at it this way. Having a YouTube channel is no different than going on your, back in the day, you remember when Logan Ryan did a weekly show?
Yeah, here.
Yeah, here on 104.5 The Zone. I don't think that was really a big distraction. That's pretty much what it is. It's like now, does it leave yourself up to be made fun of if you say something stupid? Sure. Does it leave your own team up for critiques, right? Because Cam Ward could get on his YouTube channel and say, I can't believe Brian Callahan called this play at this point in time. He really hung me out to dry. Sure, that it could be an issue. And maybe that causes a distraction. But to go ahead and label something a distraction when we have no evidence as to a distraction is kind of crazy.
How much is it people looking for things to complain about because this kid is doing so much right?
It feels like, and
That's
maybe
what it feels like to me.
Well, maybe it's a good thing.
It's grasping.
And the reason I say that is because it's hard not to buy into the hype of Cam Ward. It's hard not to like the kid when you get this access to him and you see what he's all about. It's hard not to like his story and fall in love with that story. It's hard not to watch quarterbacks. This weekend, I'm watching Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, and holy crap. I almost said the S word. Holy crap.
Hey, we're ready.
Yeah.
We're ready to dump this segment. Let's not do that, buddy.
Who was the
Day
third
one.
quarterback? Who was the third quarterback of quarterback?
Who were the two you already said?
Joe Burrow and Kirk Cousins and
oh no, who's the third quarterback?
oh crap. This is gonna drive me nuts. I can't believe I'm blanking on it.
Goff.
Goff. Oh man, I can't believe I forgot Goff. He's like me.
Also, I do have a
That's the
question.
thing I learned the most out of that was like me and Goff were the most alike because like we just cuss like crazy.
Did Titans fans think this was a distraction? I don't think they thought that was a distraction.
Well, and also, to be honest, I don't know what he did in the game. Did he even win? did he win
I don't know. I think he did. I think he did win. He won at least one.
But like I'm watching these guys, Kirk Cousins and all them, and they bring a little bit different perspective in everything that they do. But I'm like watching Joe Burrow, and I'm like, oh, I see a lot in Joe Burrow that I see in Cam Ward from the outside looking in, right? Not skill wise, but mentality wise. I see the journey that Jared Goff had to go through, the stuff that Kirk Cousins has had to overcome. And I'm like, I would not be surprised if Cam Ward maybe is going to be on quarterback Netflix sooner rather than later because he is an interesting guy. He has an interesting story, but he has this dedication. And you cannot, I can tell you this. You can get by in the NFL with a lot of things, but that work ethic and dedication, you won't have sustained success. And he's got it. And to me, I'm just like, I don't understand why everybody has to look for this to be a distraction when it's clearly not. There's just clearly no way of doing it. All right. When we come back, we'll continue talking about Cam Ward. 615-737-1045. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 1045 The Zone.
Did you know Eurofix has a very different business philosophy? They staff all the locations with more staff than any average auto repair shop, just so they can be ready when your emergency pops out of nowhere. So have you ever noticed how hard it is to get a right now appointment for a vehicle repair? Some dealers can be more than 2 weeks out just to get a freaking appointment, but not Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat their dealer without their dealer pricing since 1999. Plus a 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car right now. So if you're tired of waiting forever to get your car into the shop, then call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes says we will never be too busy for our customers. We're here to take their pain away, and we mean right now. And Eurofix repairs all European cars and say yes to speedy repairs when others can't or won't. Family owned for 26 years. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right. 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But always tell them Blaze at you.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all 4 Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. And I didn't think I would like the quarterback documentary Netflix, this season 2, the Kirk Cousins parts. Because, like, we already saw Kirk Cousins, and I liked what I saw from Kirk Cousins. I know that he can come off bland or whatever, but he is authentically himself. He's also kind of a chatterbox. He likes to drone on and on and on. And I see that he constantly interrupts people too and just keeps on talking. But what he went through this entire season over in Atlanta, I think it just kind of shows more to the person that he is. And that's what this documentary are about to me, is like, you get a glimpse of what it is to be a quarterback. You get a glimpse of what it is that these guys who are human go through, but also their preparation. Like Kirk, oh, go ahead.
No, you go. You finish.
Well, I was just going to say, Kirk Cousins has these binders. It reminds me of Blaine, because Blaine tells me he doesn't have, I think he gave them away. But Blaine used to have binders on every quarterback he faced. When he faced them, every game, he would write their opponent's games. Like, so if they were playing Brian Flores, he pulled out the last time he played with against a Brian Flores defense and went through all the play calls that he did. And you just see the mounds and mounds of notebooks. And, like, to me, getting that glimpse as well as the glimpse of the human, the glimpse of the preparation, how they fight, how they're competitors, that's what makes this documentary series so great. It's that, okay, Jared Goff, for instance. Jared Goff is a super fun dude. Like, I could hang out with Jared Goff every day. Joe Burrow, he's a weirdo. I do think he may be a serial killer or sociopath. But it is interesting to hear about how him and Jamar Chase's families have gotten together and all this kind of stuff. I forget until you go through how much he got hit all year last year and how quick it happened and some of the plays he had to do. Again, Joe Burrow, one of the best to do it. What were you going to say?
You know what I learned from the 2 seasons of quarterback?
What's that?
Why do Falcons quarterbacks keep signing on to this thing? They're 0 for 2. They've both been benched before the end of the series.
That is true. Have the Tennessee Titans beaten any of these teams? Because I know they played the Bengals.
They lost because that's when Joe Burrow did the
They
viral.
lost to Detroit.
They got killed by Detroit.
What about year one of? We need to go back and look and see if this
So
season
that would have been the 2022 season, and it would have been Mahomes, Marcus, and who was the third? Cousins. We didn't play any of them.
Did we not in 2022?
No.
Dang, I was hoping we were going to stumble onto something.
I don't think they played any of the receivers either.
But again, this is why I'm so interested in, even if it's on Tubi, and it is a 6-part documentary of 10 episodes, by the way, because I think there are going to be other players that they have on this, from to my understanding. I think it's a 10-episode series. He's 6 of them. I think the whole, and that's what.
How do the other 4 feel? They gotta feel kind of gypped, don't they?
I think that's what I read in one article, but it's, you never know because we don't have a lot of information on this thing yet. But I do wonder when you're looking at it, like, they did play Kansas City in 2022. So I think it was 2023, right? It wasn't the Malik Willis 2022
So
game.
I watched season 1 of Quarterback the week the Titans signed DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay.
So they would have had to have filmed it 2022.
Okay, so
they Titans lost to Mahomes. That was the Malik Willis game.
Right. Okay, so watch
0-3.
Yeah, 0-3 against these quarterbacks. So I look at it and I go, this is why I'm so interested in the Tubi thing, because I want to know more about Cam Ward. Just like I wanted to know more about Joe Burrow and Jared Goff for different reasons. Is because I want to know what these players are all about. In fact, I tell you what I'm going to be seated for automatically in binge watch, no matter what, is what was just announced with the date and everything.
August 4th.
I cannot wait for this.
I know Tennessee is one of the teams featured. So I'm hoping that Alabama game makes it in.
SEC football any given Saturday. A Netflix sports series offering an exclusive look at key matchups throughout the SEC season premieres August 5th. Witness the unparalleled pressure, commitment, and raw emotion it takes to be a D1 football player in college football's leading conference. August 5th. Clear my schedule. What we got? Are we on the air August 5th?
What day of the week is it?
That's what I got to figure out. August 5th. It's Tuesday. I may not be here.
Me neither.
May just have to cancel the show. Maybe we just play the Netflix, our reaction to the Netflix document. But no, I'm locked in because I want to know. For me as a football fan, I want to know more about what players go through. That's why it's some of my favorite questions to ask Blaine.
I'm so interested to see Tennessee fans' reactions to this because this was all filmed. I believe this wrapped filming in January. So none of the Nico stuff happened. This will just be a look back, and Tennessee's going to be, I'm sure they're going to do the Oklahoma-Tennessee game. They might do the Alabama game. They're probably going to do the Georgia game in which Tennessee lost. I imagine they go to the playoff game. You're going to be reliving some of the biggest moments from Tennessee's season last year. How do you reflect on that season knowing that Nico's going to leave and, other players like Squirrel White and, other guys left in the transfer portal? How are you going to look back on this 2024 Tennessee team so fresh in your mind, the Nico saga from a few months ago?
Do we get any extra insight into what was going on or into the head?
I don't think so because the SEC approved this, so and the schools, and so I doubt we're going to get any bombshells about that.
But it will be interesting to see because there's been a lot of questions about Nico, the huddle, right? Who is he on the field? Who is he what kind of presence does he command?
He looks like a stone cold killer out there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
But I do wonder, do we get more of a glimpse of that? Like, how much do we actually get? Because it's a lot of SEC. We're talking about 16 SEC schools, but not everybody's going to get everything.
You're not going to get your Kentucky. I doubt Kentucky even has a major part in the documentary.
They had Mississippi State in there.
Oh, then Kentucky probably makes it in. Maybe it's Kentucky versus Mississippi State.
Maybe. But it will be interesting to see, like you said, what everybody is like, right? I want to know more about these coaches. Brian Kelly is featured a lot. I want to know less about Brian Kelly.
Yeah, every time we learn more about Brian Kelly,
it's never good.
Worse.
It gets worse and worse. So I definitely do not want to see more Brian Kelly. But he did have a funny line. He's like, my mortgage, my family's, my kids' college tuition, it's all tied to 19 to 21-year-olds performing on the field. And I'm like, yeah, that is kind of scary proposition.
$14 million a year. Why does he have a mortgage?
That's true. But I guess if you are afraid that you may not have a job soon, you may not want to buy a house.
It might be more of a renter.
Maybe more of a renter.
Although he was at Notre Dame forever, I imagine he just bought in South Bend.
Yeah, that would probably be true. But it is interesting that that's what he said. Thinking about it from this is that these coaches' job security is tied to 19, 21-year-olds. But it's not just their job security. It's their way of life, a way of providing for family. Obviously, if you're good with your money, won't have to worry much about it. But let's transition to, at the top of the hour, in hour
Even
2.
Even if he gets fired. Remember we went through his buyout?
Yeah. Oh, he gets a lot of money.
$57 million.
Yeah. Ranking the SEC coaches. We'll do that next as cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone.
It look like I've been putting in a lot of work. Well, lifting 5 days a week is not really something I want to do. Dialing up my nutrition, yeah, maybe. All righty. Well, so there's a little extra around the middle. And I don't have time to go to the gym every freaking day, but I'm still trying to do something, but nothing extreme. That's why I checked out M-Sculpt Neo at Edge Peptide Therapy. It tones muscle and melts fat, no needles, no downtime. M-Sculpt Neo is the most advanced body sculpting technology available, merging fat reduction with muscle building in one effortless session. No surgery, no downtime, just the results that speak for themselves. M-Sculpt Neo is your secret weapon, building muscle, burning fat faster than traditional workouts alone. is like doing at least 500,000 sit-ups in 30 minutes. Yeah, man, I think Mr. Truth, R-Truth, could do that too as well, but he's burning a lot of sweat. But you can burn a lot of sweat with M-Scope Neo.
Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking. I lost 70 pounds and my friend lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months.
Wow, what are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed for only $49.99.
It is 2 o'clock. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. In NFL news, former Vol and Nashville native Jauan Jennings is in a holdout with the San Francisco 49ers, telling the team he wants a new deal or to be traded, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Jennings is scheduled to make $7.5 million in this year, the final year of his contract. The MLB draft underway, and the Base Vols were represented well with 4 selections in the first first round as Liam Doyle heads to the Cardinals in the top 5. Calvin Klein goes to the Giants, Andrew Fisher to the Brewers, and Marcus Phillips to the Red Sox. Vols had 4 more players selected over the next 2 rounds for a total of 8 selections over the first 3 rounds of the MLB draft. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. Got the grand poobah behind the glass, Jackson Williams.
What's up?
Blaine is on vacation. He'll be back next Monday. We'll have Stoney Keeley on Friday. We want to hear from you. 615-737-1045 is the number. Ask us anything. We're an open book here on the show. Would you say that you're an open book, Jackson?
Sure.
These SEC coaches, let's rank them.
Okay. Josh Heupel, number 1.
Yeah, well, I mean, not too far off in my book. So I kind of got him in a little bit of tiers, but I got a couple of guys I need your help on, Jackson.
Okay, let's do it.
I think Kirby Smart, clearly
S
number
tier,
1.
yeah.
He is 84.7% win rate. 62-11 in the SEC, which is an 83.8% win rate in the SEC.
Pretty good.
Steve Sarkisian is number 2. And I'm putting him up so high.
After 1 year in the SEC?
It was a pretty convincing year.
It was, and I forget that Nick Saban is no longer.
That is true.
Also, have you seen that Saban's getting the itch to coach again?
I've heard this. Do you think, who was it? Someone said that it may be NFL related.
I think, here's my conspiracy theory. They're going to oust Kalen DeBoer in like week 6, and Nick Saban's going to come out and close out the regular season.
Maybe.
Y'all are going to start like 2-4 and go 8-4.
Listen, if Nick Saban comes back, I'm all good. Sorry, Kalen DeBoer. I'll choose Nick Saban over almost anybody.
I think that's literally every Alabama fan.
Yeah. But I think Steve Sarkisian, he went 7-1 in the SEC. I mean, it was kind of proof in the pudding there for him.
A very good Texas team, and Texas will continue to be good.
And the way his play calling and play call design is also pretty incredible as well.
Very innovative for the college game.
I'm going Josh Heupel, number 3.
Really?
I am.
I think that's very fair.
I think he's 20-12 in the SEC, and he had to rebuild that program. And he rebuilt on the fly and found success on the fly during his time there. He's got a .712 win percentage, .625 in the SEC. It's not great, but that's generally probably a little bit above average for some of these teams.
But you also got to think about that first season in the SEC where, they had the exodus in the transfer portal. You lose guys like Henry To'oTo'o, Eric Gray, and you lost, I believe, 4 SEC games that year.
Yeah. To me, Josh Heupel has to be the 3rd best coach. I mean, just what he's done. And to me, it's a no-brainer. Josh Heupel's number 3.
Where do you rank Clark Lee?
We'll get there. This is where it gets a little interesting. Lane Kiffin, number 4. Is that too high? Because I look at his win percentage, pretty good. His SEC's not too far off from Josh Heupel's win percentage. But I think Lane Kiffin is going to have an even somehow better year this year. And it's just a feeling I got. And maybe it's because I really like what I've seen from Austin Simmons. I like that he is also already graduated college in 19, is already working on his master's degree. Maybe I'm buying into this hype a little too much.
I believe he'll be on 3HL today.
He will be on 3HL later today. So maybe I'm just buying into this stuff a little too much. But I really like what Lane Kiffin has been able to do. It's a lot like Josh Heupel in the sense of, F it, I'm running my system, and we're going to try to win as many games as we can with my system. We don't really care about NFL at the next level. Like you guys say that our players can't play in your system, doesn't matter. You're going to score a lot of points. You're going to get drafted. We're going to win some games. And I think there is a lot of similarities between him and Heupel in that way. But I do think Heupel's just a better coach. What are your thoughts?
I'm a big Lane Kiffin fan. I like him at number 4 on this list. And yeah, I really don't have a problem with it. I know like there's been, I think it's weird how the bad blood between him and Tennessee is it's not completely gone because obviously you saw it in 2021, but I love Lane Kiffin on Twitter, and a lot of Tennessee fans wanted Lane as the coach in 2021. So, yeah, I think Lane Kiffin's a great head coach.
Okay, this is where it gets a little interesting because I go back and forth on these two as far as coaches are concerned. Because one has overachieved, one has underachieved. But I'm going to give the edge, even though I don't want to, I think to Brian Kelly. Objectively, I think Brian Kelly is a better coach than Eli Drinkowitz.
I agree. I am so down on Eli Drinkowitz. I don't think I think he's a pretty good recruiter. I don't think he's a great coach.
He's got 2 back-to-back double-digit win seasons with probably talent level that's really on par with bottom of the SEC, it feels like, more so than the top of the SEC. And he is above 500, but I do feel like he's overachieved where I feel like Brian Kelly's underachieved. And I'm not sure that Brian Kelly could have done what Eli did at Missouri. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do think Brian Kelly has the better overall resume, not only just here in the SEC, but as a coach. But I do think that when we talk about achieving in the SEC, he has underachieved since he got here with the talent that he has had on offense, on defense. But I do think he's a better coach.
I'm so down on Drinkowitz. I just think he's corny, and I don't think he's that good.
Do you think that is the top 6 in the correct order?
So it's Kirby, Sarkisian, Hype, Kiffin,
Kelly,
Drinkowitz.
Yeah.
I would put Shane Beamer above Drinkowitz, but other than that, I'm fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Because the reason I ask,
Beamer has bigger wins.
He does have some big wins.
Beamer beat Tennessee in 22, Clemson in 22. I think Beamer's teams are generally better than Mizzou's Drinkowitz teams.
It just doesn't reflect in the win-loss column.
I would take Beamer over Drinkowitz.
Do you think Beamer could have done what Drinkowitz did?
Yes.
Interesting. I'm a little surprised by that because I have kind of this like hodgepodge of coaches.
You ever just have like a really strong dislike for a coach?
A hate?
It's not. I don't want to say hate.
I don't believe that you're as good as everybody else says you are.
It's not even because I don't think anybody really says he's that good. I just don't like Eli Drinkowitz. I've always had and Tennessee and Missouri isn't a big rivalry. And I know the last time they played, Missouri won. And I have not liked Drinkowitz since I was in college and he was hired.
Interesting.
So that's definitely bias on my part. I would take Shane Beamer above Eli Drinkowitz.
Okay, so my top 6, Kirby Smart, Steve Sarkisian, Josh Heupel, Lane Kiffin, Brian Kelly, Eli Drinkowitz. I think here is where I'd put Shane Beamer, just probably a tier below those guys. Now, he could easily jump into the next tier this year. If everything happens like it's supposed to happen, he could easily jump into the next tier. And then I got like Mike Elko and Kalen DeBoer, 2 guys that went 5-3 in the SEC last year. And I'm very interested to see how this second season goes. Kalen DeBoer has been recruiting very well, but they both have questions. I mean, they don't really have questions at quarterback, but they got questions at quarterback. It doesn't matter who they pick. You're still going to have questions with the quarterbacks that they pick. can the defenses carry these teams? Can these quarterbacks step up? So for me, I look at it and I go, okay, Mike Elko and Kalen DeBoer are kind of in their own tier of guys that this next year, maybe they're up the ranks. I've seen some people put Kalen DeBoer in the top 5 coaches, and I understand what he did at Washington was really good, but we're talking SEC. It's a totally different animal, right? Like, to me, we saw kind of an obvious decline in production or really skill with Jalen Milroe. He didn't transition well to this offense very well. He was making mistakes and making turnovers. So for me, like, I got to see what Kalen DeBoer does this year. Billy Napier would be kind of next, and then Brent Venables. Like, I kind of put Billy Napier and Brent Venables together here in a tier because I do think that Billy Napier this year is going to look pretty well, and Brent Venables I think is going to rebound as well. I then go to Clark Lee and Hugh Freeze. I put them. I don't think I could put Hugh Freeze over Mark Stoops, Sam Pittman. What about you?
I just don't know what to do with Mark Stoops. I feel like he might be the most. I feel like Mark Stoops this year might be what Billy Napier was supposed to be last year, which is the most pre-fired SEC coach.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would say.
And if I had to pick a second place for that award, it would be Sam Pittman.
Okay, so
I would put that in a category called the hot seat.
The hot seat, the Hugh Freeze, Mark Stoops, and Sam Pittman.
Yeah, because Auburn will make a move too soon, like they do often. If you're not performing within 2 to 3 years of getting the job, it takes 4 to build a program. By the way, if you're not performing 2 to 3 years in, they're going to fire you. So I have no faith that Auburn will give him the time to try and build his program, no matter how misguided it may be.
Yeah, he's 5-11 in the SEC since joining Auburn. 5-11.
They're terrible.
And then they got Jackson Arnold, arguably the worst quarterback in the SEC last year, who with Brent Venables, they went like, I think, 2-6.
I don't know,
in
man.
SEC plays.
Did you see Mississippi State's quarterback last season?
Yeah.
It was some of the worst quarterback play I'd ever seen.
It's
from an SEC opponent.
Yeah, I guess I would have to say that like Mississippi State's in its own tier of trash right now. That it has to pull. Sorry, Lonzo and the F&M Bank Challenge, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live, but they're going to have to pull themselves out. And I do think they do. But like Hugh Freeze and Jackson Arnold pairing seems like a disaster. So we got
Will Levis,
yeah,
against Tennessee last year.
So I go Mark Stoops, Sam Pittman over Hugh Freeze as coaches. Oof. I don't feel good about that. It's almost like they all need to be on the same line.
It's the hot seat line.
Is the hot seat line.
It's
then, of
just
course,
a
you got
fire.
Jeff Lebby at the very, very bottom. So my top 16 in order. Kirby Smart, Steve Sarkisian, Josh Heupel, Lane Kiffin, Brian Kelly, Eli Drinkwitz, Shane Beamer, Mike Elko, Kalen DeBoer, Billy Napier, Brent Venables, Clark Lee, Mark Stoops, Hugh Freeze, Sam Pittman, Jeff Lebby?
Levy's the bottom.
Yeah, Lebby's definitely the bottom.
I would put Stoops as second to bottom, then Freeze, then Pittman.
Won't disagree with you. That's
I don't
what we'll
think
do.
they're that different.
They really are. I mean, Mark Stoops is 36-62 in the SEC play. 36-62.
It's been I love every time Kentucky gives Mark Stoops a sweet, sweet extension.
Sam Pittman is 14-28 in SEC play. Jeff Lebby went 0-8 last year. I mean, these just guys aren't good. I do think Clark Lee is going to be better this year, but I do see 5-27 in SEC play. Ain't that great? But it is Vanderbilt. Like it's hard to win at Vanderbilt. All right, when we come back, we're going to give you our SEC awards prediction and college football best bets is cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're about to go through our SEC awards prediction, college football best bets. On top of that, we got Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, and Freshman of the Year, all for the SEC awards. College football best bets will include favorite college football win total, long shot Heisman winner, favorite bet to make the college football playoffs, and favorite conference winning bet. And using FanDuel, obviously. FanDuel has been a sponsor of this show. We're going to be using FanDuel for all the odds and everything. And I guess I want to start with this, Jackson. Let's start with the SEC awards prediction.
Okay.
Offensive Player of the Year. You told me Joey Aguilar. Did you stick with that?
I'm going to go with Arch Manning.
Arch Manning. Oh, crap.
I don't think he wins the Heisman this season, but I think he wins SEC Player of the Year.
Here's
Or
the thing.
Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, because it switched to offensive and defensive sometime. But I'm going Ryan Williams. I'm going a little out of pocket
Did
here.
he win it this past season?
He did not.
Who won
Dylan
it?
Sampson won it.
Hey, I forgot about that.
Ryan Williams, wide receiver out of Alabama. And the reason I'm doing that is because I do think another year under his belt, another year spent practicing, perfecting his craft. He's obviously going to have a little bit of friendly competition going on with Jeremiah Smith over in the Big Ten. All eyes on him. And I think you have a better wide receiver-friendly quarterback behind center.
Who?
Ty Simpson. I think he's a better passer.
But, is he the starting quarterback?
I think so. I think he will be. I'd be very surprised if he wasn't. So I think I'm going to go Ryan Williams, wide receiver, Alabama. It's really hard not to go Arch Manning, but I think that,
I'm going Arch.
easy pick.
/ Joey Aguilar. They're going to share it.
They're the Steve McNair and Peyton Manning of
Yes.
SEC.
And then, but Ryan Williams is a great pick.
Yeah. I'm really feeling it because, 900 or did he make it to 900 yards last year? But he had 8 touchdowns. And I'm thinking this year he's going to go for 1,000, probably rack up some touchdowns. Going to be like Devontae Smith a couple of years ago.
I'm excited to see what Ryan Williams does in year 2, except on the third Saturday in October.
Yeah, that's
Although Tennessee has one of the best secondary duos corner-wise in the SEC. So I think that's actually a really fun matchup, just not for a Tennessee fan or an Alabama fan.
Defensive Player of the Year.
I've got this dude as a freshman at Georgia,
Ooh, at Georgia.
a safety, 40 tackles, a forced fumble, an interception. I think this dude is a dog, and he's gonna play like one in year 2. KJ Bolden is my prediction. SEC Defensive Player of the Year at safety. I think he's gonna have a bunch of interceptions. I think he's a hard hitter. He's gonna force some fumbles. He's going to be all over the field. And I think you'll see his name in the draft rankings for 2027. I think he'll be a first-round pick. I'm excited about this kid out of Georgia.
I like that pick. That's a good pick. I wanted so bad to go Jamard McCoy, by the way. Because
the injury is the only reason I didn't pick Jamard.
With the ACL injury, depending on what is said this week in the SEC Media Days, maybe. And maybe you can allow for a slow start and then he just catches on fire.
I think your goal is for him to see the field against Georgia, probably in a rotation, and then to be fully back. I think you have a bye week after Georgia, so you can assess his knee, you can get him extra rest, and he'll be ready for that stretch run of this season. I think that's the ideal timeline for Jamard McCoy.
I wanted to go him so bad. But I went with Colin Simmons, an edge out of Texas, who was also a freshman last year. And last year as a freshman for Texas, 14 tackles for a loss, 9 sacks, 1 interception, 2 passes batted down, and 3 forced fumbles. As a freshman last year in a rotation at edge. I think he's going to make a huge leap this year. I think Texas is going to have the national spotlight as well. So I'm going with Colin Simmons, edge out of Texas, because to me, that's the guy that you kind of want to bank on because he's going to get the flashy sacks, right? Like, I get what you're talking about with the flashy interceptions, right? With the big plays out of the secondary, and it's kind of the same thing. But we're talking about a guy who played the 13th most defensive snaps for Texas, and he still racked up all those stats that matter. I think Colin Simmons is going to be a huge part of this Texas defense, and a guy that we're going to be talking about year in and year out, week in and week out in 2025.
Going to be interesting.
It will be interesting. Coach of the year. I kind of got like two.
I've got one.
Yeah, I'm going Lane Kiffin or Brent Venables. I can't decide.
Ooh, okay, so I also have two. One of them is Brent Venables.
Yeah.
My other one is Shane Beamer.
So did you have Shane Beamer as your one before I said Brent Venables?
No, because I believe John Mateer and I believe they're both in for bounce back, like really, really positive seasons with their starting quarterbacks. I believe Oklahoma finally has their signal caller in the Brent Venables era. And I love what Lenora Sellers. You love what Lenora Sellers can do at South Carolina. I think he is a really dynamic player that if Shane Beamer can use correctly, he can win 10 games. And if Shane Beamer wins 10 games at South Carolina, he is the SEC Coach of the Year in my opinion.
That will be the thing, because I do like he's going to have to be carried by Lenora Sellers this year, because Lenora Sellers was Freshman of the Year last year. Shane Beamer got Coach of the Year last year, and deservedly so. He shared it with Clark Lee, by the way. So there was the coaches poll and the AP poll. Shane Beamer got the AP one, Clark Lee with the coaches. But I kind of look at it like this, Jackson, is that like they lost a lot of talent on defense. And so you are hinging your hopes on Lenora Sellers, which is not the worst thing in the world. But I do wonder if maybe Brent Venables, I think because Brent Venables may get that like, oh, they were so bad last year and look at him this year and look what he's been able to do with the defense and John Mateer. I'm kind of like, I think that may be the safe bet. But again, I was talking about it earlier, what Lane Kiffin could do with Austin Simmons and what we saw Austin do in just a short time against Georgia. This could be the guy that Lane Kiffin has been waiting on to get the signature SEC wins and get in the playoffs.
Oklahoma and South Carolina meet in South Carolina October 18th.
October 18th, the Coach of the Year battle. We'll call it the Coach of the Year Bowl.
Unless both of these teams flounder their first few games, and then we'll both be wrong.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I still have Lane Kiffin hanging out there.
South Carolina and Ole Miss play November 1st.
Freshman of the Year. Who do you got?
You go first.
Okay. That means you didn't have one ready yet, right?
I've been looking. I can't find one.
I am going Dallas Wilson, a wide receiver out of Florida. He is 6'4", about 209 pounds, and is already looking like a pro from all reports at spring practices. And I think with DJ Lagway down there and Billy Napier, I think that he's going to be pretty much a impact player right from the get-go. And I'm kind of looking at Dallas Wilson from this perspective as well, is that it had a lot of challenges, but like in 2024, but the Gators did finish strong under Billy Napier. You got DJ Lagway right here. He's turned the heads most at spring. He's 6'4". Oh, he's actually 190. I guess his 247 profile had him listed higher. But he's got a 4.5 40-yard dash. And he's a rare combination of size, speed, and he already understands the position very well for a freshman. So I'm going Freshman of the Year, wide receiver, Dallas Wilson.
I'm going to go to LSU because I think with all of these recruiting rankings that Brian Kelly has won and has been, the biggest positive for his LSU tenure has been on the recruiting boards. Would you agree?
I would say so.
I think it's time one of those popped. So I'm going to go with corner DJ Pickett out of LSU. He's a freshman 5-star that is coming into Baton Rouge. And I think it's interesting in that secondary. I think if he gets a couple of interceptions and is, that big-time 5-star corner that helps LSU, maybe perform to expectations that have been set, I think he could win SEC Freshman of the Year.
Yeah, DJ Pickett was a good one. He was on my radar as well as a guy that probably needs to start hitting because, like I said, you got Brian Kelly underachiever.
Also, Justice Terry.
That's a good one, too.
With Texas's D-line being so nasty, him being in the middle of it, I think could be a really, really nice pairing. And, maybe they have to double team that edge rusher and, he gets a one-on-one and makes some sacks, makes some big plays, and you could see him there.
College football best bets is up next. Now, listen, we're not betting experts. We cannot be held responsible if you place these bets and they lose. But these are the ones that at least I know that I'm going to go out there and probably put some money down. And it starts here with my favorite college football win total bet. It could be over and under. Doesn't matter. And maybe there's a little bit of bias in this bet. But I was looking at UCLA and looking at a couple of other teams before I found this one.
Cook him.
Auburn under 7.5 wins is such an easy bet. It's plus 132. That's free money.
I thought you were going to do UCLA.
I thought about it.
I was going to do Auburn.
Yeah. But Auburn under 7.5 wins is free money. Plus 132, there is no way that this should be that high. Come steal money from FanDuel, in my opinion. And listen, UCLA was right there, but because it was under 5.5 wins. And I was like, there could be 6 wins. Because I don't know what Nico's going to look like and this new team is going to look like. But there were some wins on there that were a little questionable for me to dive all in on that. But this one, when I saw Auburn under 7.5 wins, taking that money. Did you say yours was Auburn as well?
It was going to be. I had a second one. Oklahoma State over 5.5. They went 3-9 last season. But I think they have a bounce-back season under Mike Gundy. I mean, he's always been able to bounce back after these rough seasons.
Yeah.
He's been at Oklahoma State for forever, and I think they win 6 games and become bowl eligible. So I will take Oklahoma State over.
I like that one. I also want to take Vanderbilt over, but it's just not plus money.
Yeah.
But I think Vanderbilt's going to get there over as well.
I got plus money on Oklahoma State.
And there you go. All right, long shot Heisman winner. So I kind of got like 4 here. I wanted to make sure the odds were better or greater than plus 1,500. But there's 3 here right at John Mateer, Lenore Sellers, and DJ Lagway at plus 1,900. I really like all those. But at plus 5,000,
Joey Aguilar
is Fernando Mendoza. The Indiana quarterback. And I think he's going to have a really good year. And I know it's kind of crazy with Arch Manning and all these guys, but we're talking long shot Heisman winner. I wouldn't be against putting $5 down on Fernando Mendoza to maybe win the Heisman.
Mine is Lenore Sellers.
Yeah.
I almost spoiled it when I was talking about Shane Beamer for potential coach of the year. I think Lenore Sellers is your long shot Heisman. And if this long shot obviously hits, then Shane Beamer's going to be coach of the year.
Yeah. I think another one, and this kind of plays into something we'll talk about later, is Morton. I don't have his odds up in front of me right now, but Morton is, I'm going to try and say this last name or first name, Barron?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
That's what we're going with.
That's what we're going with. Barron Morton, the quarterback out of Texas Tech. His odds are so long, I don't even see that he's on here.
Plus 20,000.
No, there he is. Plus 20,000. I may put $5 on that because I kind of have a sneaky suspicion that Texas Tech is going to make some noise.
Here's the thing
this
you're
year.
forgetting, Zach.
Uh-oh.
Texas Tech quarterbacks have to leave to win the Heisman. Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. If he went to another school in conference, such as Kansas State or TCU, then I could definitely see him winning the Heisman.
Well, maybe he's going to be the first. But that's why it's a long shot, though, too. Sometimes you got to take those risks. All right, favorite bet to make the college football playoffs. What do you got?
Arizona State. I think they go back.
Yeah.
I think with Sam Leavitt in place, I think they win the Big 12. I think the Big 12 is kind of down with, Colorado losing so much of their talent. I think that Arizona State is a solid bet to win that conference and make the college football playoffs.
You just made a longtime listener and one of our favorite callers, Tristan, very happy.
I'm sure I did.
My favorite bet to make for the college football playoffs is South Carolina, at plus 410. Because I do believe in Lenore's Sellers. So I'm kind of like, that's not a bad bet to place. And if you did that with the Heisman winning vote, if you think that he's got a good shot to win the Heisman, and maybe, I don't know if you could bet on SEC Coach of the Year, but maybe you just parlay it with Shane Beamer and just make a lot of money.
We can make a lot of money or be broke with this segment.
You never know. You never know. That's the best part about betting. You just never know what happens. All right. Favorite conference winner. So your favorite bet to win any conference in college football playoffs. So it doesn't have to be, just whoever wins the conference. And I'm going to go back to Baron Morton and Texas Tech, plus 650, Texas Tech. And you got to remember that last year, Texas Tech went 8-5. They were 6-3 in the conference. And I think they're going to be even better this year because I do think Baron Morton last year went 3,335 yards, 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and he had a 63.3% completion percentage. I think he'll be even better this year. And so I bet that I think that Texas Tech is going to win the Big 12. That is counterintuitive to Arizona State.
I got a weird one for you. It's a long shot.
All right. I love a long shot. Let's go.
It's at plus 1,600.
Ooh.
It's the ACC.
Okay.
The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
A lot of people are on some Georgia Tech.
Haynes King. I watched Haynes King play football last year against Georgia, and he's got it. And I think coming back for another season, I think they have a chance to compete in the ACC. I don't believe in Carson Beck in Miami, and I haven't believed in Dabo since Tennessee whooped them back in 2022. So, yeah, call me a believer in the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. I'm taking them to win the ACC.
I don't know where Emory Hunt was recently talking about Georgia Tech in a similar manner that you were talking about him just now. I think he had them making the playoffs.
As champions of the ACC,
As champions of the ACC. So you're not alone. Emory Hunt, guest on the show.
That's good company.
That is great company for you. So maybe you're onto something, and maybe you just convinced me to go place a little bit of money on Georgia Tech. Now, these are all on FanDuel. All these odds are on FanDuel. We're not to be held responsible for any gambling, anything. If you have a gambling addiction, there's places that you can go to seek help. There are numbers you can call. So make sure that you do that. All right. That will do it for this. When we come back, we got some college basketball news that Jackson wants to get to.
It's about this college basketball game. The proposals that each company submitted to the NCAA have been released.
All right, we'll talk about that. We'll also promote a little bit of what 3HL is going to be doing later today. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. Blaine Bishop out on vacation. That was a quick 2 hours, just us two. Got the Grand Poobah behind the glass, Jackson Williams.
I haven't been fired yet.
Yeah, we are still here. As far as I know, we'll be here
Day
tomorrow.
one, I remember I gave us till Tuesday. So.
Yeah, that's true. We have Coach Mack tomorrow.
Hey, Coach
so
Mack is
he's
back.
The weekly Mack Attack brought to you by Two Rivers Ford. He's back. Gave him a little bit of a break. Didn't want to have to, have him come on for like 2 questions then get off. And, we wanted him to enjoy his summer as well. So he'll be back tomorrow. We'll be talking a lot of Titans tomorrow because as Jackson told me on the air, one Tennessee Titans coach was ranked 32 out of 32 at his job. Not surprising, but we'll see. All right. You had something about College Hoops 2K that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so did you see the announcements that kind of came out a couple of weeks ago with the EA kind of doing the same thing they did with the college football game? Like it's time to go back or whatever,
Yeah.
and a picture of a college basketball.
A lot of people excited.
A lot of people excited. 2K also tweeted a little teaser, so you thought, oh, maybe both are going to come back. And so memos have been released in the last hour or so about their proposals to the NCAA for bringing college basketball video games back. EA is trying to do the same thing that they are doing with college football currently. A standalone game every year where, it's every team and, it's its own entity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
2K just wanted to create a DLC for their NBA 2K franchise. You want to know how many college basketball teams they wanted to include, Zach?
How many?
Yes. There's 116.
16.
16 out of the over 100 college basketball teams wanted to make it a paid DLC for their NBA 2K. Just a tournament, no dynasty, no road to glory, no anything like that. Just a DLC with 16 college teams.
So it's not a standalone video game.
No, it's not standalone. I just think what a massive waste of an opportunity. I'm glad. I hope they go with EA because EA wants it to be exclusive.
That is crazy. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that?
It's like you're just kind of throwing it out there. People want this and they'll buy it.
I mean, the response to the announcement was insane.
And the thing with me for 2K is they have a basketball engine that has been making the most popular basketball game for 20 years. Why not just you could do the same gameplay. You have one of the deepest, dynasty type modes in this sports space. Why are you not just making a copy and paste college basketball game?
That is insane. That just seems like you're just wasting money. Like,
It seems like wasting
how much? I
time.
wonder how much that DLC would be. $59.99.
I'd probably be $30 if I had to guess.
That's still too expensive for 16 teams.
16 teams? Yeah, you're paying $2 a team.
That's ridiculous. What do you think about this? There should not be yearly installments of any of these sports games. This is from Taylor H. in the F&M Bank Chat on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live. And I don't get the anti-annual release.
I think it depends on the game. I think Madden could have gone a couple of years without a release. I think college football has enough improvements year over year right now, at least, with it being fresh and new, that these updates are warranted. But I think it all depends on the game and how long. Like, college football is in its second iteration. So, I think it all depends on the game.
Okay, I want to revisit the Nick Saban thing. So, Greg McElroy is the one who talked. Of course, he was on the Mac and Cube show, his show, obviously.
On our sister station in another town.
There you go. Great advertisement there for our sister station. He says, quote, "A very much in the know person that I have a lot of respect for and have spent a lot of time around and just really, really admire. They seem to think Nick Saban is not done coaching," said McElroy. He's pretty adamant that he thinks Nick Saban will be coaching again. Now, some people have thought this means that he'll be coaching in the NFL again. But Zach Reagan of A to Z Sports, who writes a lot about the University of Tennessee, he gave out his 3 best guesses. I want to see if your 3 best guesses align with this. LSU Tigers. That would be terrible. That means I want Brian Kelly to stick around at this point. Just, I don't care if he's underachieving, just stick around because I don't want to see Nick Saban at LSU. I don't want to see him in the SEC, period. If he's going to be here, go back to Michigan State. That's where he should really go.
I think he should take a job in the ACC.
Ooh.
Him and Bill Belichick having yearly meetings
And
for a couple of years in Dabo. I think that would be really fun.
I like that. I would also, I just want to say, if he wants to go back anywhere, going back to Michigan State, I think I would go that route. I just don't want him here in the SEC, unless he's with Alabama. The NFL, New York Giants or Cincinnati Bengals. Zach Reagan says, obviously, Giants are on the hot seat, but these are also the 2 guys that we talked about last week that had the highest odds to be the first coaches fired in Brian Daboll and Zach Taylor. I don't know if Nick Saban wants to go back to the pros. Maybe he does because there's some unfinished business. But, man, that seems like a lot of work. But if you got Joe Burrow,
does Nick Saban, awesome. I don't think New York's even though he already coached there, I just don't see him going to New York.
Yeah, and I don't know enough about what Jackson Dart is going to be as a pro and whether he wants to fool around with that. Because that seems, if you go to Cincinnati, Nick Saban could build up that defense, and then you probably have a perennial contender. Like, that could be a perennial contending team with Joe Burrow. So that makes sense, but New York Giants.
Would Cincinnati pay for Nick Saban? They're not willing to pay their own players. What are they going to pay Nick Saban?
Ooh, that's true. That is a great point.
But the Giants, I would see Bill Belichick leave North Carolina after this season and go coach the Giants.
Wouldn't that be something?
I could see that very easily. If you asked me what, like, Bill Belichick's back in the NFL, how do you think it happened? That's my number one explanation. They fired Daboll after this season. He went back.
He did put down Alabama Crimson Tide. Seems like a long shot. But if, Kalen DeBoer comes out falling flat, but I just don't think he will. The problem is with Kalen DeBoer is not falling flat. It's staying 9-3. It's like, it's that. And, maybe you're not ever a 10-win team for a little bit, but his recruiting has been outstanding. Despite starting a 9-3 season last year, I just don't think, listen, I would welcome Nick Saban back in a heartbeat. I'd tell Kalen DeBoer, pack your bags, see you later.
You can be the OC.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. But I just don't think that this is a realistic possibility for Nick Saban to come back.
Also, he's having so much fun on College Game Day.
I think that's what this all is he's feeding information out there to get more College Game Day money. I also think that, hey, Tennessee Titans could be a place that he could land. He used to have that Mercedes-Benz dealership in the area, just saying.
Does he not still have it?
I don't know what the ownership situation is, so I didn't want to say that he still owns it and be wrong. But I just know he was once part, and maybe still is, of a Mercedes-Benz. Potentially, maybe. That would be a fun one. Now, I would welcome Nick Saban here at Tennessee, that's for sure. Always.
Cam Ward and Nick Saban. Just 2 guys who love ball.
Speaking of Cam Ward, we'll talk about Cam Ward tomorrow. We got some clips from John Gruden's latest podcast talking about Cam Ward. We also are going to talk about where Cam Ward and Will Levis may look similar in certain situations on college tape. The results are drastically different. We'll talk about that as well. And of course, we got the Brian Callahan, one of the worst head coaches in the NFL, according to CBS Sports. 3 HLs up next are live from SEC Media Days over in Atlanta. They got interviews coming at you today from Clark Lee, Vanderbilt head coach, Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia, South Carolina head coach Shane Beamer, and South Carolina quarterback Lenora Sellers, as well as other players. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons. Got the grand poobah behind the glass, Jackson Williams. And in the meantime...
And in between time?
Peace.
Peace.